All right, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the giant inflatable debt balloon casting a shadow over America. During Trump's first term, the national debt ballooned. We're talking trillions, folks, with a T. Sure, some argue his tax cuts were meant to boost the economy, a rising tide lifts all yachts kind of thing, but critics, they saw it as a sugar rush, a short-term jolt for the market while the deficit party raged on. Now, economies are complicated beasts, no doubt, but one thing's clear. Trump's approach wasn't exactly known for its long-term fiscal prudence. He seemed more interested in the immediate win, the headline-grabbing statistic, than the kind of boring, responsible budgeting that keeps a country solvent. And that, my friends, is where things get really interesting. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Trump, the self-proclaimed king of debt, ran on a platform of economic revival. He promised to be the ultimate deal-maker, the guy who could strong-arm America back to prosperity. His economic philosophy, if you can call it that, seemed rooted in a simple belief: what's good for Trump is good for America. This often translated into policies designed to benefit corporations and wealthy individuals, the assumption being that this wealth would somehow trickle down to the rest of us. It's like that old joke about the trickle-down theory. If you feed enough oats to the horse, eventually some will pass through to the road, except in this case, the horse is wearing a gold-plated saddle and the road is paved with tax breaks for billionaires. Tax cuts became something of a mantra for the Trump administration. Need to boost the economy, tax cut. Want to win over voters, tax cut. Feeling a bit peckish? You guessed it, tax cut. The problem is, these cuts weren't always accompanied by corresponding spending cuts, leading to a widening budget deficit. It's like maxing out your credit card to buy everyone in the bar a round of drinks. Sure, everyone's happy in the moment, but eventually that bill comes due. And when it does, it's not the guy who bought the drinks who ends up footing the tab. It's the rest of us. Section 4. Legacy over ledger. The allure of short-term wins. Trump's obsession with short-term gains over long-term sustainability was evident in many of his policies. He seemed far more concerned with creating the appearance of a booming economy than with addressing the underlying structural issues that have plagued the American economy for decades. It's the political equivalent of putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. Sure, it might look better for a little while, but eventually the infection is going to spread. In this case, the infection is a ballooning national debt that threatens to cripple the US economy for generations to come. Section 5. The Teflon Don of debt when fiscal hawks fly south. What's perhaps most perplexing about Trump's approach to fiscal policy is that it flew in the face of traditional Republican orthodoxy. Republicans have long presented themselves as the party of fiscal responsibility, the guardians of the public purse. Yet under Trump, the deficit soared to record levels. It's as if the party of fiscal conservatism suddenly decided to take up competitive eating, except the food they're gorging on is made entirely of borrowed money. And the worst part, they seem to have no plan for how to pay for it all, other than to hope that by some miracle the check never arrives. Section 6. A second-term time bomb ticking towards a debt crisis. So what happens if Trump gets a second term? Well, if his first term is anything to go by, we can expect more of the same, more tax cuts, more deregulation and more spending, all of which will only serve to further inflate the national debt, pushing the US closer to a fiscal cliff. Of course, predicting the future is a fool's game. But one thing's for certain, if Trump continues on his current trajectory, he'll be leaving behind an economic legacy that will make the Great Recession look like a walk in the park. And that's a deal none of us can afford.